This is about half of the canning for this winter. 2 rows of tomato sauce, a row of tomato juice, jalapeno carrots. This is all lemon juice. This, I think, whole thing is salsa. This is sour Reuben, which is sauerkraut, but made with turnips instead, so it has a horseradishy flavor to it. Elderberry jam and pear preserves, kind of like applesauce, but with pears. All this back here is pickles, mostly pickles, but then we end up with like pickled cauliflower or something like that if we have extra of that. Pure jalapenos, and then these are kind of Tabasco sauce type stuff. I can let you guys have a try if you're interested. This is a byproduct for making the tomato paste, because I have to drain the liquid off to get it pasty. So when it comes out of the pressure cooker, I drain off 1 jar of this for every jar of tomato sauce.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Taste test. Find out if it's a good one or not.
It's good. It's like spicy and a little sweet. It's tasty. It's better than any V8 I've ever had.
We like to have ribeye steaks on Friday nights. That's all ribeye steaks. Back there, I've got packed sausages, and it'll get finished out with ribs, lamb for general cooking, filet mignon, shrimp, the tiny shrimp meat, jumbo shrimp, scallops, mahi-mahi, and in the back is the lobster.
Yeah.
This is all sausage. That's Italian cooking, that's breakfast sausage. Got to freeze a bunch of big blocks of meat like this that during winter time I'll brine with spices and let it sit for about 4 or 5 days, then put it in the smoker and it will keep as luncheon meat for about a month. So sustaining yourself all winter when you're snowed in, there's a number of different secrets. One of them here you can see, we just transplanted these directly from the garden into pots, and this was an experiment and they seem to do fairly well. So at least peppers are going to hold. I love peppers, so the tomato didn't do too well, but that's okay because we have other techniques for working with tomatoes. Today Alana's out in the garden and she's digging up all the carrots, potatoes, turnips, and beets. And what we do with those is we get cardboard boxes, fill them with sawdust from the mill that's damp, and just park those in a nice cool place. You'll be able to pull one of those carrots out or turnip or any of those things in May, and it will taste as fresh as the day we pull it out of the ground. So this is the squash pile for hardening, and we got about 300 pounds of squash up here, so a good year's supply. Like I said, you need a warm place for a couple weeks for them to harden their shells, and once they harden their shells they won't be losing any fluids or anything like that, and they'll keep good until all the way up in the spring. This is the tomato ripening area, and so the night before the first frost we go out and we pick all unblemished green tomatoes, and you bring them up here and they'll slowly ripen. Now one of the tricks to getting them to ripen, we're not doing it this year because we have so many we know that they're going to be coming in, but if you only got like maybe 1 big box or something like that and you wanted tomatoes every day, a secret is to take a couple apples and put them in with the tomatoes. The apples release ethylene gas, which ripens things. And also cabbage is an ethylene gas producer. And I believe potatoes are too. So it's kind of tricky when you're storing food. You have to make sure that your potatoes, cabbages, and potatoes and apples are stored separate from everything else, or you'll go in and something you plan on having around for maybe a couple months had already turned to mush within 2 weeks just from the ethylene gas coming off that fruit. Every year I plant tons of extra sweet peas, and once these dry up, when you rehydrate them and get them sprouted, they're like probably one of the most nutritious things you can eat, but they ended up tasting like the sweet pea that you pulled out of a pod when it was still fresh. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so we're pulling our beets and turnips today. Okay, what you do is you put them in a light layer of sawdust and put them in a window. So they're preserved in the sawdust, but just enough light is hitting that sawdust where those turnips and beets will be throwing leaves all winter long for use to make a fresh salad. So that's another little trick to get green in. And then since I do collect all my own seed here, I do not buy seeds from seed companies. I did once and then collect all the seeds after that. Since I do that, you have lots of seeds that have been spread all over the place just by natural processes, birds and everything else. So somewhere about early February, arugula, mustard greens, and radishes start popping up out of the lawn. And so we get a lot of greens that way. This is called water glass, sodium silicate, and it's used for sealing floors in the old days. But in the old days, what they realized was if it seals floors, it'll probably seal eggs. So you mix this 4-to-1 with boiling water and pour it into a 2-gallon or 4-gallon bucket. And basically you put your eggs in that. It seals the eggs, and as long as you keep the eggs between 30 and 40 degrees, the eggs will keep for 5 months.
At room temperature?
Actually, you want to keep them a little cooler. Like 30 to 40 is ideal. Last year I kept them in the shed and it was average about 50 degrees. But yeah, 5-month-old eggs, no problem with this stuff. And so that's the way you keep your eggs if you have a bunch of hatching chickens for long periods of time when they stop hatching.